Hello and welcome, YouTube. Now, this wasn't quite as exciting as episode 6, but this was still a great episode. So, before I say anything else, let's get into this review of episode 7. So, this episode starts right where the other episode left off. We have Senku and Kohaku, which, exactly as I said, I'm still loving her character. Her and Senku have a really cute dynamic. I don't know where their relationship is going to go. And I mean that in both iterations, literally their characters and their literal romantic relationship. I, I wouldn't be bothered by it, but I kind of hope she doesn't end up being some sort of tsundere. It's not that I don't inherently like that trope, it's just a trope that's been done to death. So while I wouldn't be bothered by it, I hope it's not something that I see in this show. But they have a really cute dynamic. But Kohaku takes Senku to the village, which I want to say real quick, this isn't something big, it's just something I noticed. The village is on a sort of island, although it's not really an island, but anyway. They had all kinds of weapons and they had fish, and I'm assuming they had animal meat because it seems like they're skilled enough to hunt. But the question remains, do they have, what kind of food supply do they have? Because from what I could see, they didn't have any farms or plantations. So while that's just like a small detail, it was something that popped up in my head because they have 40 people, so I mean, that's a lot of hunting. But I don't know, it was just something that I thought about. But probably one of the funniest things we've seen in this show so far was the battle between Senku and Chrome. So before I talk about the fight between Senku and Chrome, I actually want to talk about Chrome's character real quick. So I didn't know what to think of him at first because when I saw him in the promos and the opening, I didn't know what to think because I honestly thought he was Taiju because he looks a lot like Taiju, but obviously he's a completely different character. But I really liked this fight. If you can call it a fight, it was hilarious. Just Kinro, and Kohaku in the background watching this whole thing was absolutely hilarious because Chrome thought that he had Senku beat, and this couldn't have been a bigger waste of time for Senku other than to confirm that they were all really primitive. Although he did bring up a good question of how did this village come to be, because he did think he was the first revived human, but that's clearly not the case. But I just thought this was hilarious. I feel like this could have been an episode of Bill Nye. They had very elementary science. I think Senku literally used the term elementary science, but I thought it was hilarious. Although, how do they not know what bubbles are? Like, I get that they don't have science, but they've really never seen bubbles before. It was funny, but it confused me. Like, how have they not seen bubbles? Now, all laughs aside, the one thing I really liked about this interaction between Senku and Chrome was that Chrome is clearly being set up to be sort of like, he's meant to be compared to Senku because he clearly has a strong dedication to science, although he thinks of it as sorcery before he meets Senku. But there's a clear connection between Senku and Chrome. Now, I want to save this to the end, but this is definitely going to be an important part of this show. Again, there were a lot of small things that I noticed in this episode because there weren't a lot of big events, so it was really just a lot of small things that could hint at what's happening next. One thing I noticed was that Ginro likes to say rules are rules, which I really didn't pay much mind to at first, but when I rewatched the episode, I realized that Senku said something a little similar to that, which he said that the rules of science are absolute. So I don't know if that's going to play out at all in the future, but I think possibly we could see Senku being able to connect with. Sorry, I said Ginro. Kinro. Kinro, the one with the gold weapon, said rules are rules. So we already saw Senku kind of connect a little bit, maybe break the ice a bit with Kinro when he gave him the gold edge on the spear. But this could possibly be where they connect as far as principles and philosophy. So then, towards the end of the episode, we get to see Kohaku go visit her older sister that she's been talking about, who's named Ruri, and she's referred to as a priestess. Now, I'm really interested to see where her character goes because we didn't get to see a lot of her, but from what we know, again, she seems to have an important part in the village, and she has some sort of sickness. Now, already I have two questions about her character. One, if she's a priestess, does she have some sort of power that the others don't? Because this is a very scientific show, and although the cause of the petrification seems like a fantasy, I tend to doubt that she has some sort of magical power. So I'm really curious, and I honestly have no idea, why is she considered a priestess, and could it mean that she has some sort of special power? But aside from that, we also have her sickness. Now, she doesn't seem to have any recognizable symptoms other than she is not well, and she says that she doesn't have a lot of time left. So I'm curious to see Senku and Chrome try and figure out what's wrong with her. I'm sure Chrome would be able to offer some sort of symptoms about her sickness, but I don't know. Senku mentioned something about an antibiotic, but it could be something worse than that. So I'm really interested to see how they diagnose her and what they're going to do to possibly save her, if they can even save her. So then we have the scene between Senku and Chrome where they're in Chrome's shed, and Senku confesses or reveals to Chrome what happened 3,700 years ago. And we see Chrome get visibly upset. He starts crying and he gets pissed off. And it's because he finds out that we had all this advanced technology and that it all disappeared, and that he could have been living in that world. And I think this really demonstrates that there is a true connection between Senku and Chrome. Now, the nature of that connection is that Chrome is almost like the kid version of Senku. Now, if you watch Demon Slayer, this is really similar to Gyu and Tanjiro, where Gyu is meant to show what Tanjiro should be aiming for. And this is a perfect analogy to Senku and Chrome. Senku is there to emulate what Chrome is aiming for so that he can help heal Riru. Now, another thing I like about this scene is that while Senku's been a really admirable character, we see some leadership qualities come out in him. And a perfect example of this is when Chrome is upset, Senku kind of calms him down a bit by saying, even though all that science and civilization went away, the roots of it are right here. And it's in me, and it's in you. And that was a perfect scene because then it motivates Chrome, who's been working hard to cure Ruri, and he's almost devastated to find out that it would have been easy 3,700 years ago, and Senku gets him motivated. So we see this where Senku wants to have his nation, so he was set up to be a leader, but you might not have bought that, but you can see him growing as a leader with this scene with Chrome. So although a lot didn't happen in this episode, I'm left with a ton of questions. What's up with Ruri? Does she have powers? And what is her sickness? How is the relationship between Chrome and Senku going to grow? And how is that going to affect their characters? Now, some more plot-connected questions. obviously Senku is going to have a relationship with the village because, like, why would they have been bothered to be introduced if he was just going to go there? And they said, no, we're all set. All right, cool. I'll just go find another village. Like, no, he's obviously going to get in. Just a matter of seeing how he's going to get in. Another question I have, although I don't think we're going to see it for a while, maybe like a tidbit in the next episode, is what's up with Taiju and Yuzuriya, because they're off on their scouting mission. When are they going to come back? What are they going to find? I have no idea. Will they even find Tsukasa? Because they might get lost without Senku, although I think they'll be all right. Anyway, I'm really excited to see the next episode, episode 8. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can follow along with my reviews. Like this video if you like what I had to say. Reach out to me on Twitter, and I hope to hear from you soon.